Shut up and sit down.
This is Generation Gaming, the video game news outlet made for the gamers by the gamers. Now from Generation Studios, this is the Generation Gaming Video Podcast. Here are your hosts, the original Generation Gamers, J-Louis and Psykosis. All right, welcome to the Generation Gaming Podcast, the episode 2. Now last time we did this, a little different setup, but I had a person next to me. That large invisible man is now inside the TV. Psykosis is here via was via Skype. Now he is here with the Xbox Live Party. How you doing, man?
I'm alive, man.
Well, that's always good. So today what we're going to do is, now normally in the audio version, we will do news and headlines, video game releases, and then game preview or review, and then the Generation Soapbox. Well, we're not going to do that on the video versions. We just realized it's just too much, and it's not as great as the reviews and previews are, as we in Psykosis like. It's just easy. So, but nonetheless, let's kick things off with Call of Duty. Call of Duty World War II. It's been a lot of speculation about it for a while, but now it's been revealed a few days ago by Sledgehammer Games themselves. And tomorrow will be the reveal. I know we, Generation Gaming here, have been announcing and talking about doing the special edition of the Generation Gaming audio podcast. We're going to do that tomorrow, immediately following the worldwide reveal. We'll do that at 2 p.m. So it's going to be 1 p.m. Eastern time for the reveal from Sledgehammer tomorrow. I'm personally happy about it because not just I'm just a history buff, is the fact that I love a world at war. But that was Treyarch. That's not Sledgehammer. But Sledgehammer gave us some good Call of Duty games, so I'm not worried about that. And I did like the fact that when they revealed it, it just boots on the ground was one of the main things that they pointed out.
So, one small question. I mean, because I want to make sure I have my Call of Duty history right. Infinity Ward, like turned into Sledgehammer, correct?
Well, no.
Part of it. Well, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Part of it.
Yes and no. Yes.
Just making sure.
Yeah. So they did Modern Warfare 3.
At first. Yeah, because I was about to say, because I remember at first when they were the ones who picked up the IP for the Modern Warfare franchise. Right. So I was just making sure.
No,
because
you're right.
I know that when it comes down to it, I have something I'm going to say when the time arises. You know what I mean? But I just want to make sure I got my shit right. So. No,
you're definitely right. I think it's just it's a good step for them because personally I kind of feel like it's because if I knew that if we had one more space Call of Duty, even me, as much as I love zombies, I probably wouldn't have bought it because nobody could take that anymore. Like it needs to be taken down to the lake and drowned like little babies or ducks or whatever.
Wow, we're driving kittens now. You're going to hell.
But that genre just needs to go away and never come back, or like maybe 20 Call of Duty from now or whatever. But yeah,
it does not. It just needs to stay the hell away from Call of Duty. Because I will say, I've been saying this, since 2014. Okay, if I want to play Titanfall, I will play Titanfall.
He
I
said
do
both
not want
ways,
to play
but
Call of Duty. You know what I'm saying? In order to play, no, there is no both ways. Okay,
I know what you said it both times, but it's fine. I won't blow your spot up, which I am doing, but that's fine.
Titanfall started all this shit, and it should end with Titanfall. Plain and simple. Call of Duty, get the hell out of that mech exosuit, jumping off of walls and grapple zipline and all that other crazy crap that Titanfall does, and go back to doing what you do, shooting people with little pistols and BB guns and whatnot, and acting like you guys are the world's greatest thing since sliced bread.
I mean, I like the boots on the ground thing. Makes me feel like it's going to be back to its roots. I think one of my big thing is, yes, you had perks in World at War, like stopping power, things like that, sleight of hand. But I think I liked it because you had 3 kill streaks. You had UAV, dogs and artillery strike, and not in exactly that order, and that was it. And I loved that. It was simplistic. It was to the point. I mean, not that I'm saying like the newer Call of Duties didn't, give you cool kill streaks, score streaks, or whatever, but I just think that it was very simplistic, and I played that to death. And of course, that's where zombies started at. But I'm going to get into that in a second. But you said to me the other day, we're in a party, that you were kind of, I mean, I know you're not a big history person. You don't like a whole lot of those, maybe World War II or stuff like that, even though you enjoy Battlefield 1. But you were, tell everybody exactly what your worries, or you really weren't excited about it, I guess.
Okay, so I look at it like this, you know what I mean? Like, and you know how I feel about certain Call of Duty games, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, I used to play, the older, Call of Duty games, you know what I'm saying? Like, Big Red 1, and, you know what I mean? Like, all those games before, all that stuff. Hell, I used to play Medal of Honor, but at the same time, it was like for a good while, it was just kind of annoying because it always seemed like it was the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hell, even like the Conflict Desert Storm games, you know what I'm saying? When like, at times it seemed like you were going like back in time, you know what I mean, doing like all that crazy crap and whatnot. It was just like, it was like a sigh of relief, you know what I mean, when the first Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like,
and I understand. That's why they stopped making them, the World War II ones, because it just got, you can't, like, beat a dead horse so much. It's just like, you can't keep doing it. You have to do something new and original. And Modern Warfare came out, and everybody just loved it. But
I mean, I understand the concept of if it ain't broke, don't try to fix.
Yeah, no, I understand. You cut out the last part.
But, especially in the gaming industry, you have to take chances.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. I mean, also though, it's smart to go back to it because they're struggling with selling their space versions, which Activision is so hyped on, and whoever making those creative decisions need to just be fired or just shot. One or the other, it's fine. But nobody's gonna care. No, but I think it's a smart decision. Yeah, I think honestly, they could have done either way. You could have gone to another Modern Warfare, and people probably would have loved that just as much, or maybe a little more. It depends on how you feel about it. But I think doing the space thing was a really, really bad idea. And thankfully enough, they didn't do that. I think they finally listened to their fans, because we both know if there is a company that does not listen to jack squat what their fans say, it is Activision. They could care two flying fucks about what you have to say.
And I'm not gonna lie, you know one of the things about that, ever since two things happened, it has been like 10 times worse over. Okay, when Blizzard acquired Activision and whatnot, like all fucks were just like totally thrown out the window. Okay, like it was pretty much a battle royale of no fucks given. You know what I'm saying? But even before then, like there was times in which like Activision would actually seem like they actually cared, but a lot of times it seemed like far in between. You know what I mean? When they would do that. So it's like, it all depends on what the situation is, what the game is, and stuff like that. And I think it all has to do with, if they're making enough money. Like, Activision has listened a little bit here and there, you know what I mean, when it comes to their Call of Duty games and stuff like that. But a lot of their other games, they really don't care. It's just, hey, we're doing this is what we put out, this is what we do, and all that other stuff. So, I mean, like, it really depends on what it is, and that's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it was anything but Call of Duty, then it would probably be, we might care a little bit, we might do something for you, but it's Call of Duty. It's like, I think that they feel as though they set the standards because of the fact that if you think about it, esports has gotten really popular lately, over the past couple of years. And one of the top games in esports, you know what I'm saying, second to probably like I can't exactly say second to Halo, but like almost second to Halo, would be Call of Duty, because that's one of the top games right now besides, Counter-Strike and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, if it, it makes them money, because hell, like, when it comes to Call of Duty, they could put out anything, put the Call of Duty name on it or whatever, and people would people would still buy it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why people
buy to the point to where.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because like they could give us to the point to where they could make us all run around with, you know what I mean, like a Desert Eagle and a goddamn stick. You know what I mean? Call it Call of Duty, and everybody would love it and think it's the greatest game ever made. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Oh, but you know what I mean? As long as they put zombies in it, you know what I mean? That's the selling point right there.
Well, here's the thing.
Who cares?
Here's the thing right here. One, as bad as I know people were mad at Infinite Warfare, and before that, Black Ops 3 brought it back a little bit, even though it still obviously had that space mentality into it. But I also think that was Advanced War. I like that. That's fine. But I think what you have to show credit was credit is due. Yes, they're obviously backed financially. They're a AAA game. It's a $100 million cost and more to make these games. But you don't get that from nothing. It's because of their past and their pedigree. So yes, that's why you can put a Call of Duty name on it and you can get that. But it is bad as it is. And what you said about zombies, I'm glad you said that. It correlates in what I wanted to say. I don't want to see zombies in World War II. And I know for me that sounds really crazy, but I almost feel like it's getting dragged along. I kind of feel like it needs a break for just a game to see, because it needs a story. You can't, I know you could give it without a story because that's what World at War was. It didn't have stories in it.
Like how Ghost put Extinction in there instead of putting the zombies in there.
Well, yeah, they had. Well, see, you got to remember the zombies. Besides Treyarch, Activision didn't put zombies in there except for in Advanced Warfare. You had survival mode, and then you had Extinction. And that was it. But it's fine. I would love if you gave me some form of a survival mode in World War II. They're probably going to put zombies in there because zombies is the seller. The amount of money they make on those DLCs is crazy, and it'd be dumb if they didn't. They probably will.
It's crazy because it only has one map on it. A lot of times if you think about it, okay, I'm getting like four multiplayer maps and then one zombie map.
This is true, but this is coming from, no offense, but somebody who doesn't like zombies like that. And you got to understand, if you did, the amount of stuff they put in the zombie maps today is a lot more than they ever did. The list of achievements is a lot. There's a lot of stuff to do. Yes, I understand you can get repetitive. The fact that also you have weapon kits, you can upgrade your guns and your character as a leveling system, so it gives you more of an incentive to play. But I get what you're saying. Yes, I know that. It's one map, and you got to wait for the other DLCs to come out. So I understand your point. But I guess from somebody who doesn't like zombies, like, not you dislike it totally. I know you play it whenever there's, once in a while. But it's
the moment arises.
Yeah, no, I get that. But all right, since we have killed that to death, one more little tip before we move on. I do know that Sledgehammer has released out on Reddit that the cooperative mode for this campaign for World War II is going to be multiplayer. So you're going to have a bunch of friends. I always enjoyed that in World at War. I like that a lot. And then Black Ops 3 did that as well. I like that, playing the campaign with some buddies.
Legitimately was the only reason that I liked World at War.
Yeah. No, it's always good. I always hated when they took that away. Yeah, no, you're right. I hated, for the longest time, they took it. You had campaign was single until you got Black Ops 3, and they gave it to you again. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Moving on. So, I know Psykosis, and our Generation Gaming's video producer are going to hate this next thing I'm about to say. So, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake. Fans are not going to like this because apparently Square Enix is going to do what they've always done, apparently, and that's make you wait. I guess the wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 and then the updated remake of Final Fantasy VII has obviously seen such a strained, long wait, for all the fans. But apparently the torture is not done yet. And a new document that was sent out to investors says Square Enix outlined its upcoming slate of titles planned for release over the next few years. On the page in question, both Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake are listed in the fiscal year of 2018 and beyond section. That's not immediate cause for panic, obviously. You don't have to freak out immediately. But I would say if those...
I'm going to stop this right here.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I'll finish my statement first. And then if, the games that, do make it out during, I guess, the fiscal year of 18, that means that, like, most likely they would probably arrive, like, you'd get those games, 3 and 7, Final Fantasy, in, April 2018. But go ahead.
See, this is where I have the problem. Okay, Square Enix has always been a company and whatnot that has been about two things. One, they've always been about putting out good titles and whatnot. Never, like, I cannot necessarily name too many, you know what I mean, like, shitty titles that Square Enix has put their name on and put out and what. Not okay. Maybe you can see like 13, like 3. You know what I mean? But like that's a whole other podcast in itself. But the whole thing about it is, if they're making us wait, that's one thing. Okay, I get the fact that, you know, shit happens, you know what I mean, and then you got to push your games back because you want to make sure that, like, they are perfectionists. They are perfectionists. They do not like putting out, like, half-ass games on, you know, like, stuff like that when it comes to, like, them, because they are the one company out there that I can definitely say that, like, if they put something out, you know what I mean, and they're putting their name on the line, you know damn well that, like, you know, they're going to come correct with it.
Let me ask you this.
Now,
I asked when Ono Sauce was on my solo podcast, Daily is 2 cents, I asked him how he felt about Final Fantasy 15 and how was it worth the wait and how he felt about it. I'm going to ask you that same question. Do you think, like, he felt like it was great, he loved it, but it was almost a little bit wanting, but...
I'm not that far into the game. I mean, I'm a decent amount into the game. You know what I'm saying? And from what I played, yeah, I kind of feel like it was worth the wait. Do I feel like the game was overly hyped a little? Yes. But at the same time, I mean, like, it's got a good mechanic to it. And I understand the fact that, like, you know, Square Enix wanted to polish up a lot of the things in the game.
Right.
Now, the game is great overall. Now, like, me, it's just kind of... it keeps falling in and out of my attention. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and it's really rare for a Final Fantasy game to do that to me and whatnot, but this one seems to do it. So, I get the angle that they went in, and I feel like, you know, like, and everybody who's played it has always been telling me the same thing.
Right.
If I actually sit down and put a little more time into it and whatnot, I'll understand. Go ahead.
You know, well, here's the thing. Here's why I asked that, and it correlates with what the subject matter. I asked it because obviously they're doing the same thing. You know what? I'm all for pushing the game back if the content quality comes out. And here's what I'm going to say this, because if I'm reading this and I'm thinking about it, and it makes a lot of sense. Let's see. Okay, so if you think about it, I guess kind of like the time frames of the partnership, you know, they have with Marvel, they announced. It's like Square Enix, it's pretty much what, if you read those pages that they came out with, they're not confident enough to promise their investors that, you know, that those 2 titles are going to be out before 2018. And I have no problem with it as long as the game delivers. That's all that matters, obviously. But
every time Kingdom Hearts has announced the fact they're pushing that game back, it seems like something else, like more shit has been getting added to the game. Oh, well, we just decided that we're going to add this new world to the game. Okay, I understand that, you know what I mean, like, the first 2 Kingdom Hearts games and whatnot did not have DLC.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Those games did not have DLCs. What was on the disc was what was on the disc. You know what I mean? That was the full game. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And the fact that, like, this game, when it comes out, has a possibility of having DLC, you know what I mean? It kind of changes that a little bit.
Well, now I understand what you're saying. And, you know, the last thing I think that we heard anything about Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 7, or the remake, was they finished they wrapped up the voice recording. But they also had said that they previously said that the game still had a long time, you know, still in development, and same as Kingdom Hearts 3. And then before that, it was, you know, 2016 would be a year of preparation. So, I mean, those things right there tell you that, you know, of a company like that, Square Enix says that from the track record, just prepare to wait probably a good amount of time, you know, for the product that you get out.
But see, the thing about 7 is the way they announced it. Okay, if you're gonna release it in episodic, you know what I mean, like situation and whatnot, that's one thing. Okay, so that means that, like, depending on how far you decide to focus into it, depends on what exactly you can release out of it. Because, you know what I mean, like when the Walking Dead came out and whatnot, it was one of those situations where, okay, we, you know, like, for not just that, but any of the Telltale games and whatnot. Okay, so, you know what I mean, they're talking about the fact they're going to release Final Fantasy VII episodically. And if you think about, like, all the other Telltale games that have been out there and stuff like that, how the span of time in which, like, you know, the full game gets released. You know what I mean? It gets released over the course of, like, a year, up to 2 years. You know what I'm saying? So there could be anywhere for, like, you know, 3 to 6 months before just a single episode comes out. So, yeah, that still gives them time, you know what I mean, to play around, polish up some stuff and whatnot. And if they're going to, if, you know, like, they do that with Final Fantasy, you know, VII's remake and whatnot, that can actually kind of pan itself out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, okay, give us a decent amount of content out of that, you know what I mean, to play and, you know, satisfy us for right now. You know what I'm saying? Which is not something I know that they're going to do, but still, that's an idea that they can come with, you know what I mean? Especially if you're going to release something episodically. You know what I mean? Kingdom Hearts, you keep releasing all these old Kingdom Hearts games, you know what I'm saying? Like, they've released the remakes for 1 and 2 and all the other games in between, you know what I mean, like a bunch of different times. You know what I mean? How many times can I spend money on these games?
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're going to branch out to different consoles, why not add these games to different consoles? Okay, Xbox, you know, I've been saying this for, like, you know, I don't know how many podcasts. Xbox, you know, if you guys are putting Kingdom Hearts 3 on the Xbox One, give us, you know, some of these remake games and whatnot to tide us over. Because if you're going to keep pushing these games back, you know, what are we going to do? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, even still, okay, that means I got to pull out an old PlayStation.
Do you care? Now, this is a little bit off. Well, not exactly. Now, I know how you feel about Kingdom Hearts 3. Do you care that Final Fantasy VII Remake is a PS4 exclusive? Or would you, you know, I guess, yeah, good with that.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. 7 and 10 are the 2 top-rated Final Fantasies in the world. You know what I mean? And that's not a biased thing or whatever. That is, like, well-known. And I wouldn't mind having to go pick up another PlayStation, you know, to go buy it. But at the same time, I do have the original Final Fantasy VII for the PS1. I do still have my copy.
All 4 discs?
Final. It was 3. Yes,
whatever.
But I do. But yeah, I do. You know what I mean? Like, still have all 3 discs, you know, of the original game. Have I beaten it?
No,
probably not. I don't remember. It's been so long. But still, the point is that. What the hell? The point is that if I want to play it, I will find a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? But now, when the fact that Square Enix is branching out, okay, now you guys are releasing Kingdom Hearts on another console. Y'all don't have to do that with Final Fantasy, but that's your choice. Final Fantasy, not necessarily Final Fantasy, but Square Enix has always been kind of a, you know, Sony fanboy, you know what I mean? Occasionally releasing stuff on, you know, Nintendo, and they really haven't released a lot of stuff from, you know, the Microsoft, you know, anything but those 2 consoles. So
right.
I'm not surprised.
Okay. Well, all right. We move on to our final topic here in news and headlines, because now, I know some of you, that when you watch this, we're recording this right now, that's going to be released later this week. Usually we do the Generation Gaming podcast once a week, but we're doing this mainly because Psykosis could not make it on the auto version, which is the first, as many as we've done. But and because we had a lot more content that I wanted to put on that audio version, and I thought, well, this is a whole other show, so why not do, you know, our second video version? But anyway, our final topic, we're going to go with, so Nintendo. Now, obviously, you know, recently they, I guess, well, not discontinued, but the NES Classic are not apparently shipping out anymore, and I'm going to get into that in a second. But they're reportedly working on a Super Nintendo Classic Edition. Now, let's see. There's no really, like, pricing, you know, wise. I assume it wouldn't be that much different. I wanted, like, I knew Lauren, my fiance Lauren wanted one. She wanted the NES Classic, but they, like, got so crazy expensive if you didn't get one at retail price or you didn't get one when it came out. Do you think? I guess what I'm thinking. I guess my real issue is I never understood why a company like Nintendo would always they never wanted to develop or manufacture more consoles when the demand seems so high, and they would just cut it off. They've done that with since the Wii, I feel like, and they never had, they've always run out and sold out. And I think even as much as Nintendo's been scrutinized, it's kind of just a little flabbergasted. I know you've got the money to do that, so it's kind of, to me, that just seemed a little odd.
Yeah. But, see, that's another thing, too, because of the fact that they could have easily put out more consoles and manufactured more consoles than they did. I mean, because then the minute they announced it, they kind of saw the demand for it. You can't exactly project something like that, just from nostalgia and hype. And then, once they saw, those things selling ridiculous. People, it was like those stupid hatchables. You know what I mean? People were going crazy over those stupid little things and whatnot around Christmas time, spending ungodly amount of money for no reason. I mean, just because they wanted them, because they were the hot thing at the time. At the time when the NES Classic came out, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So whatever new console they're going to do next, you know what I'm saying, is going to be the same way. And to me, in all honesty, I would rather wait for the RetroCon to release, like they're saying.
I'm glad you said that.
I mean, where it's
yeah, because it seems. Go ahead.
Instead of paying what is it, 30 or 40 bucks,
$50 for the NES.
Yeah, the RetroCon is the same thing, and I get more consoles and emulation devices.
Yeah.
in it. For the same amount, for the same price.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic. I think that's mainly where people are getting it, and they're so excited. That's it. I'm glad you said that. It's the same thing goes back to almost, I relate it to, for me, and I know you, when you want to buy a new game, and it's $60 or $50, but people don't take the time to go research to see what it is or see something else might be out there better. But they're just going to buy it and jump to it anyway. It's just, I wish more people would do that. You'd be more, you would save yourself a lot of money, and, gamers would be much happier. It's the same thing with that. You can get that, because it seems like the age of bringing back these nostalgic consoles, or it's a new thing in the gaming industry, a fad, I guess, if you will. But like you said, I would rather have that than, yeah, great. I would love to play NES Classic or SNES Classic, but I get that emulator, the Retro Box you said?
Oh, the RetroCon?
Yeah, RetroCon. Yes, that's right. Sorry. Yeah, I would much rather have that and pay the same price. You're getting much more for your value. I can't remember how many consoles.
Because here's the thing about the RetroCon. The RetroCon can play the major ones that had the cartridges. You know what I'm saying? So that's the original Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis. You know what I'm saying? Those three major things. And then it also has a disc slot for, PS1 games, PS2 games, Sega Saturn games, you know what I mean? Even Sega CD. You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, it also has an SD card slot for you to download emulations to. It has a Game Boy Advance slot, a Game Boy DS slot, and it also has Game Boy DS, Game Boy Advance, the original Game Boy, and then I think it has a Game Gear slot too, if I remember correctly. So, you have all these different consoles in a small box, the size of, what the original Super Nintendo was, if I remember correctly. You know what I mean? Or what the size of a Wii U is. You know what I mean? And I can play all these things in just that one little box.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I mean, instead of paying $50 for this console that I might have a chance to get, just because of nostalgia reasons.
Yeah, now...
So
I know you mentioned RetroCon. Now the Retron 5 console, that is, that's kind of people are saying that's basically what you said, revived NES and the SNES. This came out before the RetroCon. That came out before Nintendo made the decision to release a miniature version. So it's almost like they capitalized on to see how many people were going crazy over that. The Retron 5, that's the one that has 4 slots.
Yeah, no, actually. Yeah, the one that I was just talking about, what I I'm sorry, I got the two mixed up.
Yeah, you did.
What I was just talking about was the Retron 5.
Yes.
The original, what is it? Retrocon. That's the one with the 3 slots and whatnot that has like the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, and something else.
Yeah, because you're talking about the Retron 5 had 6 controller slot lines, the size of the console, and then supported NES, Super NES, and then Genesis, and then like you said, as well as being able to use any of the controllers for any system, like NES controller for to play Genesis games, and then the Retron 5 came with its own wireless controller if you wanted that, and then. Let's see, what else? You were saying, and then it supports save states for every system. That means you can save your game at any point. Something the older consoles didn't have. But I would.
Most of that stuff was all save on cartridge, save on, you had that memory cards and all that other stuff for. So
right.
A lot of that stuff has changed.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do our next segment. It's gonna be our video game release dates. It's going to be kind of a shortened version, but nonetheless, it's all right. Pretty much from today's April 25th along to the beginning of May, if that really. First off, it's going to be Dragon. Let me start that over. Dragon Quest Heroes 2. It's going to be for PS4. Going to come out April 25th. Today.
Jesus Christ! You're still making those games?
Yeah. And of course, the big one, which I think I'm gonna get. I need to finish the first one, but it's Outlast 2. That came out today as well for the Xbox One and PS4. The first one I need to really get back into. I think my thing was when I first started playing it, it was weird. Like you have a camera and your wits, and that's pretty much it. And I thought it was like that's kind of dull. But then I started playing. I'm like, this is pretty fun. You got to think, and it's obviously scary. It's meant to freak you out. Well, I liked it. I need to get back into it. Really, I do. And I played the demo for the second one, and that was even more just disturbing in its own right. But anyway, did you play the first one?
I did not.
Okay.
I mean, I had it for the PC, but I never really messed around with it too much.
Okay. Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. That's going to come out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. That came out today as well. I prefer Sniper Elite, but that's just all I'm going to say about that.
You ain't the only one.
But then again, you keep making 3 okay, I know I could say, well, you make 3 of them, they must be doing something right. No. That means somebody wants to keep funding them. I'm sure the game is fine. If you like it, great. But just because somebody wants to keep pumping out money for it doesn't mean the game's good. Just because you made more than one. But let's see, Warhammer 40,000, Dawn of War 3 is going to come out for PC April 27th. I think they've always been on PC, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've...
Most of them, yeah.
Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it's going to come out for a Switch exclusive April 28th. I know Psykosis is excited about this because he's been complaining about I forgot what he said last week, but I know Charles over Stealing First Twitch channel, he's all shits and giggles about it, but I don't know.
don't get me wrong, I love Mario Kart, but at the same time, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I mean, how many Mario Karts do I need? I mean, are we on, right now we're on par with fucking Fast and the Furious movies, okay? Just let it die, please.
I mean, if you don't like it, yeah, but you can say that about almost any game that has multiple titles like that, but if it's pretty much is...
Final Fantasy will never die.
I understand that. I get that. I know that's not. You can't compare that. Obviously, it's impossible. It just says the only thing you can compare is that they both made more than multiple titles. They're obviously completely different games. I think one thing is I feel like every time I play Mario Kart, no matter what the number is, it's the same thing. There's nothing new except maybe tiny stuff here and there, but I don't feel like it's really anything different. But
it's how many times can I run before somebody beats me in the back of my head with a goddamn blue turtle shell? I mean, I can only run but so fast.
Yeah, the only difference is the graphics are going to look better. That's all. But the more they make them, but all right. This one I know Psykosis is going to like. Prey. That's going to come out May 5th for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Gross.
What?
Gross.
Gross?
Gross. The first one was hot garbage Okay, like you ever smell a diaper left out in the sun too long? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that game was.
Okay.
That's what the first one was. I don't know how I feel about the second one. Don't get me wrong, the trailers look good.
They do.
But I'm not putting my faith in that game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't really like the first one that well. I know some people were up on it, like they love the first one. I mean, I think it's obviously a difference of opinion. Or if you liked it, great, but I didn't really. Yeah, not my cup of tea. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's an interesting one. Minecraft. Wait for it. The Switch edition. It's going to come out for Switch. That's going to become May 11th. That actually may be kind of interesting on the Switch, especially because I know we here at Generation Gaming kind of switched our tune a little bit to the Switch. That actually, I could see that being kind of fun, even though I'm not the hugest fan of Minecraft. And that doesn't mean I don't think it's bad. Not something I always really got into. But I know Psykosis was a big Minecraft guy. But, let's see. All right. This one I know also will interest Psykosis. Injustice 2, that's going to come out May 16th on the PS4, Xbox One, iOS, and Android.
Okay. Injustice 2. I am on the fence about this game.
Right.
Like, I was all for it in the beginning, but now I'm on the fence about this game.
Why is that?
Now that they have announced, like, 2 new features in the game and whatnot, this level gear system and whatnot, I don't know how that's going to play itself out. If it is disabled for rank competition, rank matches, then yes, I'm okay with that.
Right.
At the same time, even if it's like disabled for just player matches, if it's story only, I will support it. If it has anything to do with PvP, where I'm playing against other people, and for anything other than just like cosmetic aesthetics, fuck it, I don't want anything to do with that game at all. It's gonna be broken and unbalanced. There's no point.
Now, Injustice, that's I don't want to make this resemblance because I was never a big fan of fighting games personally. Last one I was actually even decent at was Soul Calibur for 360. The second one I actually enjoyed that a lot. But isn't Injustice 2 kind of like I hate to resemble it, but it reminds me of almost like that version of Mortal Kombat in a way. It's like pretty violent, obviously pretty
Same
violent.
people make it.
Huh?
Same people make it. NetherRealm is the same company that makes Mortal Kombat. They're the same people who make it.
No, I understand that. I'm saying like the style of the game. It looks almost like I guess you call them fatalities or whatever you want to call them.
That's technically what it is. I mean,
right. Okay.
A few years back, they actually made a crossover game where it was like Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe and whatnot. So, that's kind of how this whole thing started. And then once that game came about and whatnot, then we got Injustice and stuff like that. And
okay.
So that's where that game comes from.
Oh, all right. Tekken 7. That's going to come out for PlayStation 4, Xbox One. PC, it's going to come out June 2nd. Were you a big Tekken guy ever? I know Ono Sauce was.
Yeah, I still play.
Okay.
I still play Tekken actually.
Okay. Yeah, that's getting a lot of hype.
I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited for it.
Right.
Mainly because there's a Street Fighter character that's making an appearance in this game, which it's kind of crazy because a lot of people didn't understand the story behind that. And at the same time, everybody has been waiting for the opposite version of Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yes.
Originally the game was supposed to come out with 2 versions, and Tekken Cross Street Fighter hasn't come out yet.
Well, hey,
still waiting for that.
You could. Well, I mean, you need a Switch, but you could get Ultimate or Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers that comes on the Switch. Well, it's exclusive on the.
Yeah, fuck that game. Yeah, fuck that game.
I said that just being annoying. Okay. What am I saying? Okay. 2 more games. Dirt 4, because we need another one of those. PS4, Xbox One, PC. It's going to come out June 6th.
Who the hell's buying these games?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not big on Dirt. Was okay, but no, thank you.
Who the hell is buying Dirt?
Yeah, the only reason why Dirt, whatever is on my console right now, is because it was free for Xbox Gold or whatever. But
even still, I didn't even play that shit.
No, I know I haven't at all.
Deleted it immediately.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, I know Onosau's going to like that. I think he's talking about the one. I think is what he was talking about. Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. It's going to come out at PS4 exclusive June 30th. But I always loved Crash Bandicoot when I had a PlayStation as a kid. I loved that game.
I know I'm going to get so much shit for this. I was never into Crash Bandicoot. I mean, I played a little bit here and there, but I never really got into Crash Bandicoot.
Right.
I mean, granted, yes, I get it. He's like the mascot for Sony, but at the same time, it's like I just didn't really get into those games. I mean, I liked a lot of games like that, but I just didn't like that.
I can't believe I just did the mask guys like sound. I remember I used to do that all the time, but all right, that is going to be the end of our video game release segment. All right, our final segment here on the Generation Gaming Podcast, as always, is the Generation Soapbox. We kind of do something we haven't done before. Normally, we do a different subject every episode, obviously. But today we're going to leave off from our last audio podcast, or Generation Gaming audio podcast. We did with YouTube, Twitch, I guess the pros and cons with streaming in the present age of video games, if you will. More or less, the streaming age of video games. That's kind of what it seems like right now. And Jared from Nictomnia and Charles from Stealing First, who joined me on the audio podcast last week. It was really great. I loved how that unfolded. They're pretty intelligent guys, and they do their stream a lot. They know a lot about it. That's something that we're just now starting with Generation Gaming the past week. But anyway, I know Psykosis had also wanted to get his thoughts out there as well. And this is the perfect place to do it for our soapbox. This is meant to be done last Sunday, but life happens. But so now, Psykosis, what do you? I guess the best way to word this. For you, I know you have your own thing, Twitch channel separate from Generation Gaming, but I know you're not a big YouTube fan, and I'm not either, and a lot of people aren't, because now you need, in order to, not that you want it, you don't have to do it to make money, but that's obviously a great incentive. YouTube, you need 10,000 users to even make a dime, but YouTube seems to be just angering more people, more than more, and Twitch seems to be the best place for gamers, for me, at least that's how I see it.
Okay, so the way I look at it is like this. Twitch, Steam, what else? Twitch, Beam, Ustream, those things right there. Those are the ones that are, actually to the point where you can do a lot more with your stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rather than YouTube. And the thing about YouTube is I'm gonna kill YouTube right now. Okay. If you want to make money as a streamer, give up. Okay? And the reason I say this is because of the fact that rules, regulations, the shit that you have to do, and all that other stuff and whatnot is not worth it for the money payout that you're going to be making.
You're talking about streaming on YouTube.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, I'm talking about streaming on YouTube.
Okay.
Now, the reason I say this is because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, and I even hate the fact that I'm about to say this, no one is going to be PewDiePie. Okay? Like, you're not going to make millions of fucking dollars, you know what I'm saying, like, streaming. I mean, no matter, like, how high your fan base gets and whatnot, because at the end of the day, you're still limited on the things that you do. Now, you have to, the amount of, views that you have to get in order to generate a decent amount of money is ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? At least, like, with the other affiliates, you know what I mean, the ones that I just mentioned, YouTube, not YouTube, like Beam, Twitch, Ustream and all that other shit and whatnot.
Right.
You actually have a chance of generating revenue. Now, granted, YouTube as itself has, a lot more money because it's owned by Google and all this other crap and whatnot. But at the same time, they're not just going to fork it out to people. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're not.
Like, and as we've discussed multiple times, you know what I mean? YouTube is pretty much a fuck you. I'm by myself. I'm going to be king of the mountain. You know what I mean? At what I do, and pretty much I will step on anyone who, I need to in order to be at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least with, Beam, Twitch, and Ustream, you know what I'm saying? It's more community driven. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you and I, are streaming or whatnot, then yeah, at the same time, I'm, not just gonna be like, oh, well, fuck Buck One stream, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about that, you know what I mean? Because Generation Gaming ain't crap, you know what I mean? Like, come to my stream and watch me play. No, I'm not gonna do that, you know what I mean? Because at the same time, like, I know full well that a lot of times that if you get in good with like other people, you know what I mean, and like you guys are streaming the same thing, or you know what I mean, like you guys collab on stuff, whatnot, you can pull a lot of followers. And I mean, depending on what you're streaming, yeah, that's one thing. But at the same time, like if you make enough friends with enough people, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you got to be friends with everybody, you know what I mean? But like if you get yourself a close knit circle of people, you know what I'm saying, and you guys are all doing the things that you need to do, streaming like enough and whatnot, then like you guys can get a decent amount of followers. And hey, I know full well that when I'm streaming, you know what I mean, I have 15 followers, that who
Right.
watch me all the time when I stream. You know what I mean? And you have your 20 some odd followers who watch you every time you stream. If I'm hosting you, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, my people, who watch my stream all the time are gonna want to see, hey, I wonder what this guy does. Let me go check this guy out and whatnot. And, that's going to, in turn, bring you more people watching your stream. You know what I'm saying? Like, when people work together, especially with Twitch, and I see this a lot of times, I know, like, a bunch of people that, like, I've talked to and stuff that stream that, like, have that little close-knit, group of their friends that they deal with, you know what I mean, that, like, okay, they all host, they might all, stream different things, and they have a decent little bit of people following them, whether it's a little bit or whether it's a lot, you know what I'm saying, and then, like, they venture out and do other things, and then at the same time, oh, well, hey, while I'm playing with my friend right here, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not watching me, go watch his stream, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's pulling in people for him, you know what I'm saying? If you're working together, you're going to pull people, you know what I mean? The more people that you have, obviously, you know what I mean, the better chance you're going to have of making revenue.
Yeah,
Actually making money rather than just, like, screwing yourself up.
Right. I mean, that's the kind of the thing, thinking what you just
everyone
said,
else
working together. Because me, like right now, I mean, Generation Gaming just started. It's been about a week, but I'm hosting 3 other channels at the same time because I think working together, instead of this YouTube where it mainly seems like it comes from, is this one for all mentality of, screw you, get out of my way, I don't care. I'm trying to get as much as I can. That's great. Good for you. If you end up successful, fine. But I think a lot of people would benefit more if we all work together. A lot of us work together to stream together to, I guess you could say share the wealth, if you will, in some senses. And not even if you're not even trying to make a profit off of it. I don't know. I just think
and that's one of the reasons why when I first started the conversation, I said, especially if, you want to try to get into using YouTube and stuff like that, no one is going to do what PewDiePie did. You know what I mean? Like, granted, this kid, started making videos, reaction videos, you know what I'm saying, and like got like a big following, and then he ventured out into like doing other types of videos and all this other crazy crap. And like, granted, yes, YouTube, you know what I mean, like killed their partnership with him. But do you know like how much money that kid was making? You know what I'm saying? He was making millions.
Oh yeah, he was making a lot.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he was making millions of dollars, you know what I mean, because of people watching his streams and, like, like all that other stuff, donating to him, you know what I mean, and crazy crap with that. Yes, that's what everybody, you know what I mean, like, who, quote-unquote, out there, wants to stream and, wants to make money off of doing this, playing video games and stuff, kind of, like, wants to get to, you know what I mean? But not everybody's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it all depends on what exactly you do, how you do it, and where you go from there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the same way, it's not, I mean, for us, I know not a lot of people are going to do the same thing. Maybe they will, I don't know, because I haven't really found it out of my research I'm doing, but every time I stream, I'll post it to Generation Gaming's Twitter account and Facebook page in the group, and I try to let everybody know. I mean, I know just because I posted, I'm not going to expect a lot of followers or views right away. That's not going to happen. But each day, I've noticed that because I've been consistent, and that's the other thing, is if you're not consistent, then people are not going to remember you. They're not going to bother trying to come to your page, your channel. And I've not that I've been doing it at the same time, but I think if you stream every day, get more, because each day I've done it, I've gotten more and more views and more followers. Today I did it this morning. It wasn't very long. I think it was like maybe an hour or 45 minutes. I got 5 more views than I did yesterday. It's not much, but it's something. And I know when you get to 50 on Twitch, then you can start to get into that revenue area if you want, which would eventually Generation Gaming, I think, get there. Just, it's not a overnight thing, obviously. You have to really care about it and work hard on it. And that's one thing that I know I think Generation Gaming is getting to. But it's like anything in life. But, anything else you wanted to add on that?
Not necessarily. I mean, like, we pretty much covered the basis. It's like,
right.
Depending on what your end game is, depends on what you should do, how you should go about it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody that, hey, just because I said fuck YouTube, don't go, don't think that that's going to be the end-all, be-all, that's what's going to make you the big bucks and all of those stuff. If that's what you want to do, then if that's what you want to do, then go ahead and do that. But at the same time, like, there are other options.
Right.
And it all depends on what you decide to do. And so
that's good.
It'll all play itself out.
Right.
So.
All right. Well, that is the end of the Generation Gaming Soapbox. Thank you guys for joining us today on the Generation Gaming Video Podcast, our second episode. Up to Wednesday, that would be, so this is going to come out when you're watching. This is on Tuesday. We're going to release this Saturday. We have a bunch of new content coming out soon. We're going to have new episodes of Generation Rivals. We're not sure if it's going to be audio or video yet. And then new episodes of J-Louis Cents. I don't speak on Psykosis' podcast because that's, whenever that happens, that happens. I let him do that. Also, new episodes of course, what you're watching right now, the Generation Gaming Podcast. We're trying to do more in the video realm of things. Speaking of that, we're going to start to, since Generation Gaming is now streaming on Twitch, we try to do it daily, if not at least 6 days a week, whatever, 5. So what I ask of you is to go to www.twitch.tv/Generation Gaming. That's GenRation Gaming. Because what we're going to start to do is the podcast that you know and love, from the audio version and the video version, myself and Psykosis. We're going to start to do talk shows. It's one of the genres in the Twitch community, if you will. We're going to start to do our shows in there. We're going to put them on Twitch, more of a live form, maybe like interact with the gamers more. That's what Generation Gaming is trying to do. Big thing. And I know that, I'm thinking about this lately, that Generation Gaming's motto is made for the gamers, by the gamers, the video game news outlet. And I'm thinking, what exactly has Generation Gaming done to really implement that, or try to help that? Well, nothing. So what we're going to start to do in the future, at least soon, is the stuff that we don't like, the stuff that the companies that really just get on us so bad because they're doing stuff that we know either isn't right or is just laziness or whatever reason, and they're trying to hold stuff back on us. We're going to go not after the companies. We're not demanding stuff from companies. We're just asking publishers, developers to listen to us as gamers, because without gamers, you have no industry. Because without us buying consoles, buying games, like I said, there's no industry. So what we're going to start doing is, showing our work and showing what we have to say to the developers and to the distributors in the video game industry. That's down the line. We'll get more details later. Psykosis, thank you, man, for joining me today, man. This is it's cool. It didn't work out like we wanted to originally, but hey, that's why we have internet, and you can join us from
always
around.
A pleasure, man.
Thanks. I am J-Louis. This is the Generation Gaming Podcast. This is Generation Gaming, the video game news outlet made for the gamers, by the gamers.
This is the Generation Gaming Podcast Network, the home for all your video game news podcasts. the solo podcast of Mind of Psycho and J-Louis's 2 cents. And of course, the monthly podcast that is the Generation Gaming Podcast. News and headlines, video game releases, and the Generation Soapbox. And the new show that is the best debate show out there, Generation Rivals. It's all here on Generation Gaming.